We live in the most boring dimension in the universe. Nothing ever happens here. So we crossed into the new frontier. Everyone there was having fun, but you don't know how to have fun. So you attacked them, but you even botched that. So I had to take charge.
The magic stick! Silence!
Greetings, universe! My name is Orbital Bacon, and I am certified G1 and a real freaking prime, and you can't teach that. And this right here, this is my army of freaks. They're weird and they're proud, and you can't teach that. Bada boom! Realest bots in the room, how you doing? All week burrito, everyone. Welcome to another live stream. Hope you're all doing well. Had a good week so far. We're still sort of early into it. Let's kick it off right. Good to see everyone in the chat. Soylence! That's right, Soylence! Soylence. Successful destroyer. What's up? Helicopter noises. Helicopter noises. Josephine, Delilah, Brett Former. Dow. Hello. Greetings. Welcome. Destiny. Silverstorm, the bug. All right. Good to see you all here. Good to see you all here. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We've got plenty. I know it's only Tuesday, Silverstorm. I know. But we can make it. We can make it. I know you're all made of sterner stuff. We'll get through the rest of the week. We've got a few things to have some fun, so pound it. Pound that like button. If you're new here, what this is basically a podcast-style live stream where we go over the current events in pop culture. And what I've got for you planned today, very interesting news story, very interesting developments going on right now with Disney. And it's not what you might think. It's really not what you might think. I know that I've had plenty to say about Disney, some of the stuff that they've been doing lately with all their identity politics stuff. But we might be seeing a change. They might be up to something here. They might be playing some 4D chess, as the title implies. But yeah, so we're going to talk about that. I'm going to go through some stories that have been in the news recently, including the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit, and then we've got the upcoming release of Shang-Chi, followed by the Eternals, and Disney is under new leadership, so we're going to see what all of that means going forward. So, welcome, Star Saber. I see Star Saber there. Jaco Fett, hell yeah. Lord Galvatron is here. Hell yeah, pound it. Hell yeah, good to see you all here. So yeah, Disney. Star Saber says Disney is sus. That's right. They have been a little bit sus, to say the least. They have done a few things lately that's not on the up and up, but that's all right, because we can give them a second chance. Like I said, they're under some new leadership, so we'll see how it goes. Without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and hide the chat. Go. All right. So first up, like I said, if you're new here, please subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. It's like a live stream style podcast featuring various characters. There's me, Optimus the Freakin Prime, and of course I got the Goon Squad with me as always. Oh yes, don't forget us whenever you want to peddle your wares, peddle your goods. You can always rely on us, Prime, sure. I mean, I guess we were created as toys anyway, so what's the difference? Ah, yes. Good of you to see the logic in that Starscream. That, indeed, we were created as a product, as merchandise, so we should fulfill our purpose as such, as merchandise. Right on. So, with that being said, if you would like to support the channel, there is a link to the Prime chat in the description, as well as merchandise. I've got some t-shirts up there as well. Galvatron!
Check DMs for pics I sent to you.
Galvatron has sent some pics in the DMs. All right, we got some stuff to check out. Hell yeah, pound it, Galvatron. Appreciate it. And almost like I don't know if you timed that or what, but here's I'm doing my hot dogging and grandstanding. You right on time. Hell yeah. No, I appreciate that. And here's my latest shirt. I do add new designs every month, multiple designs every month, but this is the latest one, the Freakin Prime retro style shirt. But without further ado, without any more hot dog and grandstanding, let's get into the story here of Disney playing some 4D chess. So we're going to start out our story here with what I call a tale of two Bobs. Because we have Bob Iger on the left and Bob Chapek on the right. And these were and are the CEOs of Disney. So you have Bob Iger on the left, who was the former CEO all the way up until February 25th of last year of 2020. At that time, Bob Chapek, who you see on the right, took over as CEO for Disney. And he had been with the company some 20 years, I think, before in the home entertainment division. So he was no stranger to the company. But he assumed the role of CEO. Now, he's doing things a bit differently than Bob Iger did. There are a few very discernible differences. And to get to those, and let me just answer in the chat real quick. Yes, I am the graphic artist for those shirts, Josephine. So thank you for that. And oh yeah, we did miss Wheeljack and Soundwave. Well, we'll get their 2 cents in here in a second here. But I'm glad that you didn't forget them. Yeah, good to know somebody didn't forget us. Sure as hell you are. Oh, wrong screen. Okay. Here we go. So, and we'll get to Soundwave later. So here we have the old and the new CEO of Disney. So the first thing that I want to establish is that under Bob Iger, the previous CEO, that he had long-term contracts. So when the certain runners of the studio, the head runners like Kathleen Kennedy with Star Wars and Kevin Feige with Marvel, they were signed to long-term contracts, something for like 10 years or something like that. I mean, very long-term contracts. And so they basically had free reign to do whatever they wanted. Now, for the better or the worse. Now, this was, for the most part in the MCU, this was a good thing. Up until recently, we've seen the MCU movies underperforming recently. They're not doing as well as they used to be as they start to focus more on identity politics and less on the stories. But beforehand, Kevin Feige having the reins on the Marvel movies was a good thing for a while. That was fine. Kathleen Kennedy being in charge of Star Wars, on the other hand, did not do so well as each movie just did worse and worse and continued to destroy the franchise, the lore, just everything about Star Wars. It was just killing it, not in a good way. So you had a couple of studio heads that were able to just do whatever they want because they had these long-term contracts. Well, under Bob Chapek, things are changing in the sense where he's getting rid of all of those long-term contracts. No more free reign. So what the main effect that has is that the switch from long-term to short-term contracts means that the short-term contracts can be renewed. It doesn't mean that they're just going to have a constant, rotation of new talent. I mean, they might if people don't live up. But what that basically means is with the short-term contracts is they'll be up for performance reviews. So anybody who's ever worked in retail, any sort of job like that, you're probably familiar with like performance reviews every 6 months, once a year, something like that. Who knows? Every now and then you'll have to sit down with your boss, sit down with your manager, and they'll look over your performance, see if your sales numbers are good, your customer service is up to snuff. All of those things get reviewed on a regular basis, and it sort of your continued employment sort of hinges on that, right? If you do poorly in these performance reviews, they're going to let you go. So what this means for Disney is that these studio heads, the Kathleen Kennedys, the Kevin Feiges, they're going to be up for performance reviews. They're not going to be able to just continue on as they have been, doing what they want as far as putting their personal political agendas in there, especially Kathleen Kennedy. She's been really bad about it. So, and it's to the detriment of the franchise because at the end of the day, Disney is a business. They're a corporation. They're there to make money. It's all about money. It's all about those sweet, sweet pizza rolls flowing in. And if they're not getting it, well, there's going to be trouble. So that brings up a few things here because we have the focus being taken away from the studio heads and turning it over more to the merchandise and the distribution, because it's not just the contracts. Like, okay, so the contracts are getting shortened, they're going to be up for performance. But what is being looked at in the performance? Well, another thing that Chapek is doing is that he is taking the focus and putting it on the merchandise and the distribution. So this means in the long run, consumer preference is going to be the driving force. Like I said, they want those sweet, sweet pizza rolls flowing in. They got to make that money, get their Energon wine. So consumer preference is actually a good thing. That's us. They've been ignoring our consumer preference largely recently in favor of pushing their own agendas, knowing that they've had these long contracts that keep them safe with the company. And now that Bob Chapek is saying, well, no, we kind of want to make the shareholders happy, so we're going to put the focus on merchandise, and we want the media that we put out to be received well, so that the merchandise that we put out for said media will sell, will actually move off the shelves. Because there's been no shortage of reports. You could probably go out to your own local store and find Shang-Chi merchandise already on clearance, half off. The Marvel Legends figures already half off. So they're not doing so hot. They're not doing so hot. So that's the thing is right now the shareholders, they believe that Bob Chapek, can make them more money than what they've been making over these past few years. You know, Disney hasn't been making as much money as they'd like to with these properties. It's not to say that they're going out of business or anything like that, but they're not making what they want to make. And so Chapek has said, hey, I'll make you more money. I've got some ideas. I've got some strategies that are going to make us more money. What do you say? And the shareholders are saying, all right, go for it. Go for it. Now, this is where we get into the recent lawsuits with Black Widow and Emma Stone, I believe, also had put out a lawsuit. And then we had, I think, Dwayne Johnson was considering one. There were stories, rumors going around that Dwayne Johnson was considering a lawsuit. Now, here's the interesting thing, because when all of this first came out, these lawsuits there was a lot of PR, you know, a lot of like, hey, let's make it seem a certain way. And I even myself sort of fell into it going, hey, what is Disney doing? They seem like they're sort of being not cool, for lack of a better word, towards Scarlett Johansson, because what she was saying with her lawsuit was that she was promised this bonus in her contract depending on the performance at the box office. So specifically at theaters. So it didn't count the performance on Disney Plus. So if she made or the movie made a certain amount in the box office, then she would get a bonus. And she was suing them by saying, well, you released the video, or the movie rather, on Disney Plus, on the streaming service at the same time. And that hurt my box office numbers. And so that's why she was suing them in the first place. She was saying that, you know, I could have gotten this bonus if you hadn't released it on Disney Plus. And Disney, in response, was sort of smearing her pretty bad. They were saying, oh, well, you know, you should be glad that you made what you made, and you're not going to be working for us anymore anyway. And there was a lot of back and forth, and people were saying, oh, Disney seems really heartless and hypocritical, because they're telling her, oh, you know, you want people to go in theaters while there's the poof going around, and you know, you don't care about people. Meanwhile, Disney has their theme parks open. So it was just this really bad back and forth between Disney and Scarlett Johansson. So there was a purpose behind that, though. See, that's the thing. This is where we get this. So far, I'm just sort of catching you up on the history and the surface level stuff. But don't worry, we're going to go deeper. We're going to go deeper, because there's more to it. There's more to it than this. So what ends up happening is Disney sort of looks bad. Scarlett Johansson sort of looks, they try to paint her as being greedy. Disney sort of looks bad as being, you know, hypocritical and not really caring. And they're going back and forth.
And what ends up happening is they try to make Bob Chapek look bad because right now, as I said, he only answers to the shareholders. He's basically they're his boss, right? And no one else. He's basically the boss of everyone else. So he only answers to the shareholders. So if they're saying, well, he told us that he can make us more money, so he gets to do what he wants right now, whatever. So the only way for them to get rid of him, because they don't have any power over him, so the only way to get rid of him is to change the shareholders' opinions of him. Thus, the lawsuits. Enter the lawsuits. So you have, and when I say they, who wants to get rid of him, because you've got certain people that have been in power, like Kathleen Kennedy, Kevin Feige. You've got the agents, like Scarlett Johansson's agent, who has been a big mouthpiece in this lawsuit, obviously. They stand to make a lot of money and have made a lot of money off of these long-term contracts, off of these movie deals. And so if Bob Chapek is saying, well, we're not going to do these big back-end movie deals anymore because people don't go to the theaters like they used to, and streaming is a thing now. So those big like bonuses where, if it makes $1 billion at the box office, you get $1 million or whatever. I'm just throwing out random numbers, obviously, but that's all going to be a thing of the past. That's going away. And we're also getting rid of the long-term contracts. You're going to be held to performance reviews, and it's going to actually matter whether the consumer likes your product or not. They don't like that because that threatens their job security. That threatens their paychecks, I guess, at the end of the day. So that's why you've got the insiders not really wanting Chapek to do what he's doing, whereas Disney as a company, the shareholders, want Chapek to do what he's doing because they want to make more money. So like I said, the only way to get rid of him, because the shareholders are happy with him right now, is to make the shareholders not happy with him. So you get the lawsuits from Scarlett Johansson. But here's what's interesting. Because you get Scarlett Johansson, saying all this stuff, and Emma Stone came out with her, I guess she was also trying to do a similar lawsuit with the Cruella thing. I'm not sure exactly the details on hers. Admittedly, I didn't bother looking up as much details on it because I'll tell you why. It's already not a thing anymore. Lo and behold, Emma Stone locks down a deal for a Cruella sequel, just out of nowhere. She just suddenly gets one. So, Emma Stone is no longer pursuing any sort of lawsuit or anything. She's got a new movie deal with Disney, so she's fine. Similar thing happened with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So Black Widow, or Scarlett Johansson, is left as really the only one who is left doing any sort of lawsuit right now. And that takes us to Shang-Chi. That brings us up currently to Shang-Chi, because that fits in here as the next puzzle piece here on Disney's 4D chessboard. So Shang-Chi is going to have a 45-day grace period. I don't know if you want to call it a grace period. It's basically just a window. It's a 45-day window before it will be available on the Disney Plus streaming service. Now, this is something that Disney has it's in their power. They have all ability to push the movie back, delay it, whatever you want to call it, and basically have it released on the same day on both Disney Plus and in theaters. But they're not. They're purposefully not doing it. And there's a reason. It's like a strategy. It's all coming together. And the reason that they're doing this, it ties into both the Black Widow lawsuit as well as Bob Chapek's new strategy going forward. So this is what they're doing. Bob Chapek is looking at Shang-Chi as an experiment. He wants to see how the movie performs with that 45-day window where it's only in theaters. Black Widow did not have that. See, right now, they're able to sort of say with the Black Widow thing, as far as the performance of the movie goes, that, oh, well, it released both in Disney Plus and in theaters. That's why it didn't perform so well. So Bob Chapek wants to see, well, how does it do when it just has a theatrical exclusive window for 45 days? Let's see how it does. So he wanted to see how the movie performs, and said that it would be an experiment. And he actually said, let me bring this quote up here, because this was a quote from Bob Chapek. He said, on Shang-Chi, we think it's actually going to be an interesting experiment for us, because it's got only a 45-day window. So the prospect of being able to make a Marvel title, or to take a Marvel title to the streaming service after going to at a 45 days theatrical, will be yet another data point to inform our actions going forward on our titles. So in other words, what he's saying is this will inform him on how they can go forward if they want to continue the streaming service same-day release with theaters, or continue the 45-day or 30-day window, any sort of exclusive theatrical release window. So, I mean, it's pretty logical. Yes, I myself cannot argue with such logic. It makes perfect sense. If you want to see how the movie performed when the movie preceding it had no such window, well, the only logical step is to add a variable into the next experiment. This would be the 45-day exclusive theatrical release window. I see no fallacy in this. What is the problem? Well, the problem comes in, Shockwave, where Shang-Chi actor Simu Liu did not take kindly to this. He did not take kindly to this whatsoever. Let me bring this up on screen. He says, we are not an experiment. We are the underdog, the underestimated. We are the ceiling breakers. We are the celebration of culture and joy that will persevere after an embattled year. We are the surprise. I'm fired the F up to make history on September 3rd. Join us. So basically what Simu Liu here, he's the actor who plays Shang-Chi, what he's saying is he sort of took it personally, it seems, the comment about the experiment, saying that Bob Chapek's comment was a slight against him and the cast ethically, I guess, somehow, against their ethnicity. I'm sorry, ethnically. I misspoke there, ethnically. Against their ethnicity. And that is simply not the case. As we just discussed, Shockwave even confirmed it's simple logic for business to see if the movie would perform differently, and this is just the next movie down the pipeline. Now, what's ironic here is that the Chinese social media, the one that, he claims to be, that Bob Chapek's comments are a slight against, they actually don't like the film. They're the ones who they had actual comments about the ethnicity of the film, saying that they find it ethnic. I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied here. They find it offensive. Let me just put it that way. They do not like the movie. They find it offensive. They find the star of the movie, Simu Liu here, to be ugly, to put it blunt. And it's not even going to be released in China. It's actually been banned by the CCP. So it really has nothing to do with the ethnicity of anything. It's really just about the business. But here's the thing. This is a smear against Bob Chapek. Remember, I said the only way they'll be able to get rid of him is by making him look bad. So that's what it's really all about. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Now, so why is Bob Chapek, despite all this, all right? So you've got the Black Widow lawsuit, doing their best to make him look bad. You've got Shang-Chi upset that looking for any little thing they can, just looking for words in the comments to pick out and say, "Oh, that's not what we are," and this is this and that, trying to make Bob Chapek look bad. So there's other news outlets, Variety and Hollywood Reporter, that have also picked up on these stories. And despite all of this, Bob Chapek is still releasing Shang-Chi with that 45-day window. And why is he doing that? Why would he be doing that? Here's why. Black Widow, as I mentioned before, is technically the lowest grossing MCU film to date. Now, they're using the simultaneous launch on Disney Plus as an excuse to sort of hide that. But here's the thing. Shang-Chi with the 45-day window won't have any excuse, because even though Black Widow's technically the lowest grossing and the numbers are there, they can hide behind that simultaneous launch. That won't be there for Shang-Chi. So if it bombs, which they're basically expecting it to, everybody's basically expecting this movie to bomb, especially since it can't even be played in China. So if/when it bombs, it will actually help Disney's stance in the Black Widow lawsuit. So what Disney will do is that they'll state that Black Widow would have bombed regardless, because they'll say, hey, look, Shang-Chi bombed, and it had a 45-day window. But Black Widow, who had the simultaneous launch and is trying to say that that's what hurt her bottom line, they'll say, well, no, it would have bombed anyway. So it helped. They'll actually say that the simultaneous release helped Black Widow. They'll say you got more people to watch the movie thanks to us. Because look what happened to Shang-Chi. It bombed. So this means that Bob Chapek, is actually racking up the W's. He's just sitting there collecting wins right now. And when Eternals flops, because let's be real, the trailer for that movie got ripped to shreds. Eternals is basically a guaranteed flop. And so when that flops right after Shang-Chi, Kevin Feige's not going to be looking so hot for his review coming up. When his contract expires and he'll have a review, it's not going to be looking so good when his last few movies were major flops, the lowest grossing in MCU. That's not going to be looking too good. Not at all. Not at all. So right now, all of their attempts to make Bob Chapek look bad in the eyes of the shareholders isn't going so well. Not going so well. And as he collects these W's from Eternals flopping and what is most likely going to be a flop for Shang-Chi, he's going to be able to hold Kevin Feige's feet to the flames. And we already know that Star Wars has been flopping, so Kathleen Kennedy, her feet have been on the coals for a while. So we already know that that's coming up. So what this all boils down to, because it's been a lot of information breakdown and a little bit of speculation thrown in there, but what it all boils down to is that this is actually a good potential for us, the consumers. What this means is that the consumer preference may return to being the focus drive of the company. They're not going to be having the studio heads in charge with their long-term contracts saying, well, we can just do whatever we want with the product. Who cares? Which is why you've seen such a focus, and if you've noticed in the merchandise, there's been almost like a parallel run with the merchandise. You've got the current line, whatever matches the current movie or show or whatever's out. And then you've also got a legacy line or a legends line, or, the old collection, classics collection. And those are the ones that sell. Marvel Legends. For each Marvel Legends line that goes with a movie, ties into a movie, you've got at least one, if not multiple, lines that are just callbacks to old comic references, whether it's the Age of Apocalypse X-Men or the Vintage Collection with the Avengers. So you've got all these old school figures and merchandise and everything, the t-shirts, the logos, all of that is highly marketable. And they're noticing that their modern stuff isn't highly marketable. So what we're going to probably see is a return to that consumer preference, to what we like, to what we buy. You have to vote with your wallet. So what you consume will be what they go for. So I see this as actually potential for a good thing. This is silver lining. This is something that could lead to a return, a swing back from that focus on identity politics and pushing agendas and who cares about stories and the lore and respecting the characters and all that. No, that's all going to go away. That's all going to go away. We're going to return to a golden age. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, right? But what do you think about this, chat? I'm not sure if anybody's been keeping up with all the lawsuit nonsense, but what do you think? Were you on the side of Disney or on the side of Scarlett Johansson? Does this shed any new light on how you might feel about it? And what do you think about these upcoming movies with Shang-Chi and the Eternals? Are you even interested to see them at all? Do you think they're going to flop? And would you like to see Disney return to a consumer preference-driven product? I know I would. But I hope you've enjoyed this little news segment here. During the week, I just like to do little news segments, sort of break down some of the current events going on in pop culture whenever I find something interesting. And I thought this was almost like a rabbit hole. I just found this incredibly interesting, how they're playing like 4D chess and really being smart and strategic about how they're handling this situation, which could actually lead to something good for us as the consumers. So I'm all for it. I'm going to definitely pay attention to developments. I'll come back and update anything as new information arises. But if you've enjoyed this, please give the video a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe for future content. I'll have another live stream probably tomorrow with other news stories as they develop. And then, of course, we've got Friday and Saturday, the Sterner Stuff live streams to test the might of the army of freaks. So until then, remember to stay weird and stay proud. This is Optimus the Freakin Prime, signing off.